So here we are the following morning. The rain has stopped. Got the car charged up in these cardboard boxes, the cells and everything. So yeah, we're going to set to in a bit. So we finished on the battery upgrade in the ENV 200. We're going to build this home kit that Vivne also do, which will take all of the old cells to build a home storage unit for the customer's solar generation. So this is how they're delivered on top of the pallets with all the cells and modules in that came for the ENV 200. These two were on top. We've unboxed this one already, but we'll crack on and we'll show you what we've got. So there's a spectacular amount of packaging, and I mean that genuinely, because everything is individually cling film wrapped, so there's absolutely no damage to anything when it arrives. So we're halfway through unboxing. We've nearly finished unboxing and unwrapping the first box, and then we'll go on to the second once we've got everything laid out. We've already watched their video on the assembly, so once we've got everything laid out, we're going to crack on. So we've got everything unpacked for the home kit, and obviously we've got all the modules that we just took out of the ENV 200 sat here. We've already made a start. There's a very comprehensive video on Vivne's own website, YouTube page, which shows you the build on these, but we'll just give you a guide through as we do it ourselves in case there's anything that we come across which might be of help to you. So it's been a little bit of a confusion trying to make sure we get all these arms on the right way. We've actually turned this over from the first stage. So when we first started, we had these two were at the bottom and the single one was at the top. But as their step two, they do say to turn it over. We've also, these joining arms come with the brackets already in them, and the brackets only have one screw each, whereas on the only video we could find, the brackets have 2 screws each. So just minor differences, but hopefully it helps you when you're building yours. We did discover while we're fitting these corner braces that hold the casters that there's a very slight step between the upright and what will be the base when it's all turned the right way up. So what we've done, and it might be difficult to see, but we've just put some M6 penny washers in there to take up the gap so that we're not forcing this to be stressed down onto that. Done the same on both sides. It's only here at the front. The back is perfectly aligned, but another little thing hopefully that will help you with your build. So another little thing we found, in their video they build the casters and all these end plates with the assembly sitting flat on the bench. We actually found it was much easier to stand it up on its head and let Newton and gravity help us to keep everything in place while we're getting it lined up and screwed up. So yeah, we're just finishing off on the casters and then we're going to press on from there. So this home kit we built uses AZE0 onwards lizard type cells. Here we have a good example of the earliest ZE0 cells. It's a different layout, so it's got this lip on the side and there's no built-in brackets or anything. So from the factory they have these metal spacers on them, like so. As soon as I get it the right way around. So here's the front one, you can see because it's wider. Put it on the right way around. There's the front spacer and there's the rear spacer. Now obviously if you are using ZE0 modules in your home kit, you'd need to be putting these spacers in, I suspect, because the back of each module would want to try and squeeze in here through the front of each module, and that's not going to be good for them. And then because the brackets are separate as well, I'll show you how this one would sit. So the bracket would sit like this. You can see there's cutouts in the module. So all the modules are exactly the same, and then the brackets that have the bolt holes on, you have to make sure you put those in the right place rather than like with the AZE0 putting the module that has the built-in brackets. It's more obvious when you're doing ZE0 batteries, but yeah, all of the brackets and all of the spacers actually come loose in the battery pack. So if you're buying loose ZE0 cells, you have to make sure that you get spacers to go with them, otherwise you're in for a world of pain sorting out washers on each one, and just not good at all. Now, quite clearly, with older modules that have lived a bit of life, they've got a bit of swelling on them. They do need quite a bit of pushing to get down so that you can get the nuts on with which you have to compress the cells when you're finished. And then this gap, as they say in their video, that gives us room for the wiring. What I use is just a couple of plastic trim retaining tools, and you can feed them in one at a time to make it easy. So we've now got plenty of clearance here to get the nuts in. We did put the threaded bars through all the way first to make sure the alignment itself was good. And now we're just on each time we do a nut, we're just pulling the relevant threaded bar back a bit, getting the nut on, and then we know it's going to go back in through its hole in the upright here nice and easily. So we're just using a plastic straight edge across the terminals to make sure we get them really nicely lined up before the PCBs bolt on. We've got a rubber faced mallet here that we can just use to tap on the casing to either bring them forwards or take them back a fraction, just to make sure the alignment is as close to absolutely straight as possible before we tighten up the bolts. Now, we've actually found on our second layer, having struggled to get these threaded bolts through all of the cells in one go, what we're actually doing for the second one, which appears to be a zillion times easier, is to feed the cells onto the threaded rods as we put them into the thing, and then we've got some really good basic alignment straight away. Obviously we're following their instructions that this second layer matches the first layer. So we've also found that lining the modules up is much easier when you've only just got the nuts on. So you can see there's only just enough room for the spanner in here. So there's minimum compression on all the cells, which means that we then have plenty of space and ability to move these forwards and backwards. You can see here how there are small gaps or humps between the cells according to the plastic ruler, and we want to get those as straight as we can so we don't stress the BMS. So the ENV200 battery pack has 2 less modules with brackets on. We've looked through the whole of the assembly video, and the outer brackets don't appear to be used for anything at all. It's only the inner ones that appear to be used for cable ties. So the 2 that don't have brackets, we've put them at the outside on the top. All the rest have brackets, particularly through the middle. So we should be all right. We're just checking the alignment on the modules now before we do everything up tight, and then we're ready to press on. So there are 4 pins that the BMS go onto. We could either get these 2 pins lined up with the BMS or these 2. Other than that, we weren't going to go. So what we've done is we've just bent each one very slightly. So these front ones had to come from where I'm standing to the right and in, and the rear ones to the left and in slightly, like this, just with a socket on a bar. And we've changed the alignment on them slightly, which should now allow us to get the BMS in. So yeah, we've just been following their video. It's very straightforward, step by step. So now we've got all the cells in, all the BMSs in, all the bus bars. We've got the power cables in. We've got all of this in here because we're under a bit of time pressure to get this finished and get the customer back to Germany. He's going to finish off doing the cable tying and protective wraps on everything. We just want to get it so that it's transportable, and then we're going to go live. So here we go. So apparently we're ready to go live. Let's see what happens. It's a good start. And yes, we've got live. We have to configure the display here because they're set up generically, but we've got good voltage, temperature that we'd be expecting. So yeah, I don't see anything of any concern here right now. So looking very good.